and because we started rushing, the residents of Dallas started rushing in, even topping off our already halfway full tanks, it caused the gas stations to be out of gas.
Mind you, I just left them up there. They still up there trying to get gas.
I know, like before I came, like I went to the QT, no pumps. I mean, they were completely out. Walmart, they were only letting us get $20 if we paid cash. But I just filled up because I was like, well, I'm gonna use my card. They couldn't stop it at 20. But yeah, a lot of stations were just saying, oh, you can only get $20. What?
I don't even go in. But I went to the station last. I went to, what do you call it? Costco. That's where I went. You got a Costco card, you go in, you get your gas, same thing. The Sam's Club, you know, you go to those places. But what it was to me was, this was a prime example of how people are
While other insurance companies just see a car, we see something you've worked really hard for. So why not give it the protection it deserves?
that.
But you know what? When she passes.
No.
Yes, she does.
No. You ready? Here we go. Welcome to the Heart of Conversation. Really, Jay? Is that how I sound for real? Welcome to the Art of Conversation on Eargasm. Thank you for joining us today. We are embarking upon the first weekend in September.
Yes. Amazing.
Thanking God that we're here. We could have been in Houston.
Amen to that.
Right.
Yeah.
I am EXX rated. We have our co-host over here in the building. Who are you today?
Who am I today? I'm just Willie Will.
Willie
Will.
Yeah.
Every week I change my name.
Every week.
Every week.
Okay. So he was Chill Will last week.
That was a couple weeks ago. He's Willie P.
No, he wasn't. He was Chill Will last week.
You Chill Will?
I'm Chill.
Yeah, he
I
was
thought it was Willie P.
You don't remember nothing.
You're older than me, man. Willie Will.
Willie Will in the
Willie Will
building.
today.
Willie Will, and who are you?
I am the host, none other than Silver Tongue.
Right.
Okay.
I am Silver Tongue.
That's slick tongue.
For those people who don't know what Silver Tongue is, tell us.
Right. Silver Tongue, for the most part, means it's an eloquent speaker.
Okay.
Sometimes we have to get our mind out of the gutter. You know, we felt thinking Silver Tongue.
I wasn't thinking dirty.
Mm.
Okay, and then we have a guest in the building. We have our guest in the building. Will you tell us who you are today?
I feel like, what is my name going to be?
Whatever you want to be.
Whatever you
No,
want to be.
actually, I'm Melody.
Melody, that no better person to be than Melody. That's all.
Melly Mail. How about
Melly
that?
Mail.
We call you Melly Mail.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
I
what
used
I'm
to call my girlfriend Melody.
Melly Mail. That's
Melly Mail.
it's in the building.
All right, so we are back doing what we do every weekend.
Run our mouths.
And
You
so,
learn something new?
Welcome to the kitchen table.
the kitchen table it is. And the red cup is water today. We are hydrating. And the reason we are hydrating is because as our bodies get older, it starts to deteriorate, break down. We start feeling stuff that we ain't never felt before. And I feel like, you
No,
too.
that's the real truth.
You too.
That's
Hold
real truth.
on.
You says the man whose back is out.
Work.
Says the man whose back is out right now.
Oh, my back. Oh, my knee.
Hold on.
Oh, my shoulder.
Hold on.
Oh,
My faculties are all in place. Hold on. Somebody push me up.
Right. And I used to tell him, I used to tease him all the time, I'm going to push you up in a wheelchair in front of the window and leave you there.
Always trying to leave me somewhere.
I would leave you right there in front of the window. So anyway, so our bodies is telling us that we probably need to hydrate more. And I was talking to Will before the show started about how I'm just feeling bad and I need to detox this weekend. And so, you know, it's nothing worse than just having an uncomfortable feeling or being bloated in your stomach. You just don't feel like you want to do nothing. You don't feel pretty. You don't feel like you just want to be bothered. And I mean, I know for a man you might not feel pretty, but I mean, you do get bloated, right?
Look, I just had this conversation with someone the other day, right? About how I want to feel sexy up under my clothes. I put on my boxer briefs. Put on my white tee.
Your white tee?
My white tee.
Was it a white beater?
No, a white tee.
The white tee.
And I iron a crease right down the middle.
Oh, that is so
Why you going
So you're going to be real starched down going to sleep.
I'm just saying, that makes me feel
That makes you feel sexy?
handsome.
Hey, y'all, man law.
Nah.
Man law.
What?
I don't want to hear another dude talking about he ironing his t-shirt.
Ironing the t-shirt
Why?
that nobody's going to see.
Why? Right. Why?
So wait, here's the deal. I know. So you take your shirt off,
Right.
and then the woman that sees you is like, "Oh, baby, your T-shirt is so starched."
What's up with that?
I don't know that would make me feel like I want to jump your bones.
Hey,
I don't
hey,
feel like I
hey.
want to jump your bones.
My shirt.
Yep.
No. No. You know what? Females don't care if you got a wrinkled t-shirt.
What?
T-shirt's supposed to be wrinkled, man. It's supposed to be wrinkled. You see what I'm saying? It's supposed to be wrinkled.
That's why you got problems now.
That ain't one of my problems.
I got 99 problems with my T-shirt. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So listen. So I think that it's that we don't take proper care of our bodies.
Ooh.
Hence, the man who I can't open it. Oh, I'm a girl. I can't open this. I got it. Oh, I got this. You know how I am now. Y'all know how.
So to finish that conversation, we were talking about as our bodies get older, for you young people in y'all 20s and 30s, young, but for us that's reaching that halfway mark, myself pushing 50, your body's gonna start changing. I don't care what you think. Oh yeah, you know what? It always kills me when I used to see those commercials, the Bowflex commercial where that guy was 50 years old talking about, I feel better today at 50 than I did at 20. I'm like, you a damn liar.
Lying. And here's the thing though, even people who work out, people who work out, that don't mean that your body it's not changing.
Right.
Your body is going to change no matter what. You can be 55 years old and be in the you can because black don't crack. It's the truth.
But I'm talking about compared to when you was in your 20s though.
But listen, you can work out. You can be in the top on top of your game. Your body still changes. Your skin changes. You're getting older. Everything ages.
It's
See,
something.
this a fine old man. That's
what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, I always say this, that even if you didn't take care of yourself, your body, as you get older, is going to take longer to recover.
Right.
I mean, you might have been, you might have been not as athletic in your 20s, but now in your 50s you're starting to get athletic. But I tell you, I guarantee you this: you ain't gonna be able to go about and run 3 or 4, 5, 10 miles, unless you. Right. I'm saying, compared to when I was in my 20s, I was in the military. I could go out and party all night till 3 o'clock in the morning, get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep,
right,
and be up and ready to go. If I try to do that now, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
I think more or less we have to kind of start realizing that we do have to take our bodies seriously.
Yes, we do. That's all I'm saying.
I'm taking my body serious.
I'm learning. The hardest thing in life is not the learning process, but it is learning. Because I've been doing it for so long. I'm still trying to get rid of eating cookies.
And detoxing. And detoxing.
But yeah.
Black folks, we don't believe in that, the word detox.
That's me. This weekend I'm straight detoxing. So here's how I was telling Melody that I take apple cider vinegar. It's apple cider vinegar, it's lemon juice, 8 ounces of water, a dash of cayenne pepper, and some honey. Mix it all up and take it to the head. So that's what I do every day. Now I have high blood pressure, so when I feel like I'm feeling some type of way, like dizzy, maybe just a little lethargic, I also have low potassium. So when I'm feeling like I need a stabilizer, I just take a shot in a shot glass of apple cider vinegar straight to the head.
It's nasty.
It's the worst shit I've ever encountered in my life. I'd rather swallow chew a pill than take that apple cider vinegar sometimes. So, but it has a million different what is it called? A million different
not the toxins, but
no, what do you call it? It's a
million
uses.
Oh yeah. Apple cider vinegar does.
It does, and it helps you for so many things. Your vision, your hair. And I noticed a change in my hair because I've been doing it now for about a year or so. And so my hair texture used to be one way and now it's another way, and I attribute it to that clearly because I ain't taking nothing else.
You think that's nasty? I'm going to tell y'all something that's worse than that, but it's actually very good.
Don't say castor oil.
Oh, no, aloe vera.
Aloe vera juice?
Ooh, that's nasty, but you know what? It's like apple cider vinegar.
Only supposed to use that to
No, actually, you can ingest it. You can ingest it.
Herbalife sells that.
Yes, Herbalife sells
Herbalife has
it. And I tell you what, it's nasty, but it's really good for you. As far as, digestive,
your
joints and everything, but man, that stuff is worse because I do the same thing that you do with the apple cider vinegar, but not as consistent as I should.
Yeah, do it every day.
I tried that aloe vera.
Now they have a drink that's sold in the gas station, an aloe vera drink, and I hear that it's really good. And then every so often these whole, Herbalife, the one, Body by somebody, Body by they have these drinks, and aloe vera is the number one that they promote, Herbalife especially.
Have you guys heard too, another thing, I get emails from this guy called Dr. Axe, and he's always talking about gut health. Gut health. A lot of the things that we go through is because of stuff in our stomach. And, the acid acid and everything. But he was talking about, you know, like for me, it's like pushing 50. You know, man, it's like probiotics, getting on probiotics.
Oh.
That, man, because what it does is a lot of your health, from what I was reading, is in your gut.
It's good bacteria.
You know, good bacteria.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that bad bacteria. But man, it's like, oh, it's hard.
It's
expensive. Because, you know, you go to Whole Foods or Sprouts, man, this stuff is like, no, it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's like $7 at the Whole Foods store. It's $8 at the regular store too.
But here's the thing about it. Somebody once told me, recently, said, either you're going to pay right now,
or you're going to pay later. Yeah. That's just like, for example, like a situation like your brakes go out of bad on your car.
Right.
If you wait till like the last minute, what could have been repaired with just brake pads.
Yeah.
And you gotta get rollers.
And you gotta get rollers, and you gotta get your rollers cut, and you gotta get the other parts, stuff like that.
Solenoids.
So
Why do I know
$50
that?
job can kind of turn into like a $300 or $400 job,
Yeah.
or maybe a $1,000 job. You know, so our bodies are the same way. We have to really truly be cognitive of the things that we do. You know? But as we talk about that, let's move on.
Moving on.
Let's talk about our weekly
Highs
and lows. So the thing is that we talk about what was good for us, what happened to us that was good, and what was bad.
Okay.
Seeing that you are the guest, Mother Nell.
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Highs and lows of the week.
Goodness. I don't know.
Did you have anything good happen this past week? Nothing bad either?
Nothing bad.
That's okay. That's a good thing.
No.
You should have a neutral every day.
I really do.
Yeah. You sure?
I
Well,
think
we'll come back to
pretty
you.
I'll think on it, but I really don't think I did.
What about you?
For myself, actually, the good is that now I no longer have student loans garnish my wages.
Oh.
How did that happen?
Oh my goodness. God knows I had to send him a death
Did you read
certificate.
Did you say you sent the death?
That's certificate.
Just so everybody knows, we did not know nothing about this. We are not Reggie and Marty. He done made a fake death certificate and sent it.
And they refunded my money back. You know?
Any minute now.
Okay, I'm
The
just
feds
playing.
gonna come knocking on the
I
door.
know, I'm just playing.
The song when the feds come knocking.
knocking on the door.
Like,
You are alive. You under arrest.
right, I'm just playing. So what happened was that I had to consolidate all my loans that they originally. So the little portion that they did take out, that was part of the bigger portion. They took that part back, and I think it originally started because what happened was I started working on my credit. I think working on my credit, in return, the person who's working on it kind of went in and kind of disputed everything. You know what I'm saying? It's basically said, I don't own it, or whatever it is, whatever their tactic was. And as a result, I think they kind of woke up the dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so this is what you want to say? I tell you what. So they just started sending stuff to my thing, so they started garnishing my wages.
Yeah.
So as a result, my options were to kind of reconsolidate it, to put it back into there. Once I kind of re-put it back into the bigger loan, therefore, that in return is supposed to clear up everything that was bad on my credit. Because the only thing that was bad on my credit was just my student loans. You see? I did that, so I took care of all of that. So that right there in itself. So when I seen my check this time, it was a full check. I was like,
Oh yeah. That's what's up.
You started
Start
crying.
crying.
Felt the love when
Yeah.
I went out and I
God was
fought
just showing you
everybody.
favor.
I went out, I treated everybody
That's what's up.
to some water. You know?
Yeah, because it's not a good steward of what God has given you. I'm just confused
I'm
over
buying
it.
water for everybody.
You can have a water. You can have a water.
Everybody get 3 cubes.
You are the worst.
Yeah.
And so what about love?
So lows, there's really never no low. You know, like I said, God has given me the opportunity to wake up to kind of right my wrong.
Did you write the wrong?
Here we go.
Did you write
Here we
the
go.
wrong? You didn't because you did not say you were sorry.
Every
Go ahead
week.
and say it.
Every week. These
Now you got a reason to say you're sorry today.
What happened?
Tell the audience what's the reason.
Today his reason
No, hold
is...
on. What's in my ear first?
No, nothing is really your ear. You are the worst. I come into the studio today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, moving on. My highs and lows. Let's see. I didn't have anything major going on this week.
Okay.
But I was mad. I was telling them earlier I was mad. I'm mad because my 20, is she 22 or 23? I don't know how
You said
old she is.
23.
She's 23, I think. she thinks she can stay out all night and not let me know that she's not coming home. And I think we need to have a show about this. When your kids are still living at home with you, how much of, or how many expectations, and do you have rules like when they were 18 years old? Because to me, all I really want her to do is just let me know that she's not coming home. Because even though she's 23, she looks like she's 16. And true to form, in Louisville and Denton area, they were like snatching kids and sex trafficking them. And so, you know, this happened last summer, and it's continuing to happen. And Dallas is the #1. I don't know if you guys even seen this. It was on, it was front page on the internet, and it was all over the news. The guy that owns the little restaurant in Plano, him and his proteges were part of this sex trafficking ring.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, the guy that owns Mother's, some diner, Richard's Diner, really? Over in Plano. And so, you know, when I see stuff like that, all I want her to do is just let me know she's cool. Like, just shoot me a text, because I'm good. You know, I don't care. She's grown. You do whatever you want to do. Just respect my house, and you're not gonna come in at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Just stay your ass outside. Yeah. And so I don't mind. Just tell me, so I won't wake up in the middle of the night looking for you and you're not there. So I think that other than that, I was just like, I'm gonna choke her out, because she just don't get it. And you know, she gotta know that I'm not nosy. I don't mind her doing whatever she does, and we have a great relationship. We talk about everything. So eventually, if she do something wrong, I'm gonna find out anyway. But I just want her to let me know that she's cool, you know. And so that was the only thing that really happened last week. Work is good, you know, it's what it is. I
called it 9 o'clock. She was actually ahead of us.
Let me tell you something. And the whole time that we've known each other, and I've been working at this job for 5 years, I have never been at work at 8 o'clock. Last week I was at work every single day, or 5 minutes after. Right. I have never made it in the first quadrant of the 8 o'clock hour in 5 years. And so, amazing. And I'm working. They like working the crap out of me.
Let me just be the one to testify to this.
Shut up.
I've witnessed her tell the VP, push the meeting that everybody had at 9 o'clock. The VP hold a meeting at 9 o'clock. Mandated. I've witnessed her say, push it to 9:30.
And they did.
And they did it.
I mean, but let me tell you, this job it's not a bad job. You know, it's really not. And they are just bringing us in, and they're streamlining these rules that have always been in place. And they're tired of people taking advantage of the system. And so they like, bring your ass to work on time or you're going to get in trouble. The only thing about it, the only thing that saves us is that we're salaried and we're on call 24 hours. And so we can't necessarily say that you want 8 to 5 every day, because at 5 o'clock my day does not end. My phone rings constantly and I work constantly. I'm answering emails all night long, you know. So though I don't get there at 8 o'clock, it's not that I'm not giving them their money's worth, because I work all the time.
Okay.
So I think I thought of a no, because school started. School started, so my daughter is in school all day, every day now.
Don't you lie.
That is the best feeling.
You get your light bill back.
Yeah,
you get your food bill back.
Yeah, the refrigerator was actually full when I came home on Wednesday. And I didn't have to go to the grocery store not one time this week.
So you love it.
I'm just ecstatic.
Yes.
School started.
That was a high too.
Yeah, that was I had to think about that.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. What about you, Bill?
Highs this week. What is it? Same thing. Willie Will, man, come on, get it right. Get it right.
Let me write this down.
Get it right, man.
Willie Will.
This dude right here. This dude right here. Well, my highs this week, as I was telling Christy earlier, I'm in the process of trying to get a house. And so my house this week, I'm getting closer. I'm cleaning up my credit.
Okay.
And it's been a journey getting that taken care of and working with a lender and everything, getting more steps. I had found out earlier this year I'm a veteran, and I had lost my certificate of eligibility, so gotten that back from the VA and everything.
Is that to get the VA loan?
Yeah, let's get the VA loan approved, because I owned a home before, and I did what's called a short sale.
Okay.
So when you do a short sale, you sell your house
For less.
For less,
right.
And so I was told, this was back like in '97. So after I did that, I was told, from several, so-called professionals, hey, you know what, once you do that, unless you pay that money back to the VA, you lose your certificate of eligibility.
And that's not
So
true.
that's not true, because earlier this year I found out that's not the case. So now I'm cleaning up my credit, because after my divorce had any issues. So this week has all been about, I talked to a new banker, said, okay, Mr. Patterson, it looks pretty good. Next couple of months, it looks like we'll be able to get you into something, but
Right.
you got to get your credit score up to like 620, 630. We'll proceed. So that was my high this week. It's like, okay, because as y'all know, boy, living in apartments, when you got knucklehead neighbors living on top of you, I'm gonna strangle my neighbors on top of you. So my high this week has been one step closer. So hopefully, prayerfully, by the end of this year, I'll be into a house.
Yeah.
And,
Life would be easy.
life will be easy. Well, not easier, but it'll
It's
be
easier.
better.
It's easier.
Being in the house.
Yeah.
Being in the house compared to having somebody living on top of you.
And
So,
your peace of mind.
and peace of mind. Lows this week. The only low that I had this week is seeing what happened in Houston. I got a good friend of mine. He's in Houston, and his house is not flooded, anything like that. But some of the stories I've heard, my heart goes out. I did some donations with my job, and
absolutely.
so that was been my low this week. Just my heart and prayers go out to people of Houston. We need to keep them in prayer, and
the surrounding area.
and also not just that, but if you can give, whether it's money, time, resources, to our audience, please give, because if this was you would want somebody to try to help.
Absolutely.
So that was my lows, and that's my highs.
Yeah.
I have a low too.
Okay, what's your love? She's thinking about it.
No, I have to think about it. No, I had a friend of mine who committed suicide on, I want to say Tuesday.
Oh, that was bad.
So that was a really good one.
Yeah, that was. I'm sorry to hear that.
So-
And so when we talk about this often, depression is real. Mental illness is real. These things are not. We are not exempt. We all go through things in life. And I just implore everyone to please listen to your friends. Listen to them when they're talking to you. And if you can be of service, be of service. Always lend an ear, because you never know what the detriment is of what it is that they're going through. And sometimes people don't tell you anything. They don't even want to share with you their depression. So again, it's more to being a friend than just saying that I'm your friend. You got to be able to recognize when your friends are going through.
We have to be more cognitive and reach out. I think a lot of times that we're so consumed with the things that we're going through that we don't really take time to reach out to someone else. I think we have to kind of get out of that habit to kind of start really truly being a friend, like you said, instead of just putting a phone call in, instead of just labeling, because eventually friends do become something that is actions behind.
Right.
So that goes against, so that speaks towards what I put out there earlier yesterday, which was saying that because we are so much in survival mode, that our love has become, our relationships, status and skills have become, love itself has become so selfish.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's in every aspect. We have to really, truly, and it's so crazy as we get older, we find other things to do that would be important. So I guess the saying is true when it comes to certain relationships, as they say, if you want to make time, you can make time for what you want.
You do.
Yes.
Make time for who you want.
Make time for what you want. And I think at this point, as we get older, we have to start doing the same thing for our friends. We definitely have to kind of check out. And I know I'm really bad at this sometimes because I become. Did I tell you I was sorry?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I called JK.
You didn't call me.
I sure did.
I do. We'll do.
Yeah. I got to do
You
better.
gotta do better.
I got to do better.
Even if you text me, you don't have to call me on time. Because I know why we probably be on the phone for hours.
Yeah, we would.
I know.
We would.
So we just text me.
I want Craig whoop my ass.
He's not. He Craig, no, he ain't. You'll be alright. You can call me too.
Okay, I'm gonna do better call. But I know I've been calling you. You know, checking on this brother.
You know I love you.
I had to check on my brother. You know, I didn't want him out there in the middle of the street, you know, walking lost. I let me call this brother up, make sure he because JK be out there. What's going on? Let me reel this brother back in.
Reel him in.
I'm not that bad.
Yeah, you are that.
No, okay.
Okay, maybe. He said okay.
I will accept both. If we say accept responsibility, I'm learning to accept responsibility.
How cool is that though? If you had to just listen to me the first 2 months
Here we go.
when I told you to accept responsibility, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Can we just have one show without you two? You know, come on. Y'all like a.
What is a show without us?
I always got to be the referee between the two.
Let me tell you something. They all telling Melody all about me and not being a good friend. I'm like,
I did just have to be, but in all, I was saying that how much I love you though.
She's a family issues. We got some family issues.
yeah.
That issue, you know, but this is what family consisted of.
That's
You know
it.
what I'm saying?
All right.
You
So
can
moving on, y'all. We
Okay.
got to talk about the news.
Well,
we
first,
started-
let's let people know that we do have a special guest, which is Melody,
yes.
and she definitely is
Oh,
going to
right.
tell.
She got a story.
She has a story to tell, and the topic today, for the most part, is for better or for worse, an abusive relationship.
Oh. For better or for worse. Okay, and then we're going to talk about what we saw last week and get right into Melody's story. And feel free to be interactive if you have any questions or if you want to make any statements. You know we are live, and so go ahead and let us know how you're feeling.
Definitely.
What did you see last week? Did you see what was in the news?
Actually,
You don't watch TV.
I really don't, because I was going to make something up.
Bill, go ahead. Tell us what you saw.
Well-
You don't even watch TV.
Let's talk about what I saw in the news, you know, just the things that were happening in Houston, you know, with Hurricane Harvey, the price gouging, things that really, that's what was a low for me, just seeing, but also too, seeing how people can come together, but also seeing negative, you know, when you're seeing things like the price gouging. I saw things for a case of water, they were charging $99 for a case of water.
Yeah.
They I mean, in some
$84 or something?
Yes, in some areas we saw this, you know, and you let's think about it, you know, it is supply and demand, but still, it's just ridiculous.
And you
And we gotta take a stand. We absolutely have to take a stand. I kind of saw that in the gas station. I've been like, I'm not giving you $100 and you're gonna sell me this water for what you sold it to me for last.
The worst.
But the thing is that this is the really part that's so fucked up about it. It's that people take advantage of people and they
In
in
the
time, in time of
Yeah.
need. Why are
That's
we?
bad.
We have like these quote unquote people out here collecting money that they're for themselves.
Yeah, scamming.
Scamming people, you know.
Yeah.
Then you have people out here price gouging. There would be no God. We on God's green earth. I would pay anybody $100 for a case of water.
Yeah.
What? I couldn't even do it. That's not even heard
But
of.
also
not-
in the
it's
news, you know,
bad.
when I saw the report, I saw a report that in Garland, right when we had the gas scare here in the Dallas area, one of the gas stations had the nerve to try to charge $8.
Yeah.
$8 per gallon. And I'm like, are you serious? To me, when I see things like that, that gas station needs to be put out of business
Thank
because
you.
that shows we need to boycott that gas station where never again will that gas station be in business.
Yeah.
Even though it's a private owner, but when you're doing things like that, you know, it shows that you just, you know, it's all about greed.
Yeah.
That was disheartening to me as I watched that in the news. So.
Well, and then I saw that. Okay, so then on the other side of the coin, I saw on Facebook where somebody was saying Obama was President Obama was the president during Hurricane Katrina. Of course, we all know that was not the case.
Right.
And Melania, whatever her name is, she showed up in Houston with 4-inch heels on.
Yes.
Just again, another opportunity to say that 45 is a joke. This dude is a serious joke. He came on the scene late, and for some better late than never. But what did you do while you were there?
He wanted to have a great crowd.
Yes, and he said, "What a great turnout!" A great turnout in a time of turmoil.
Yeah.
He said, what a great turnout. Yeah. And so, again, we have to, we just please pay attention to what's going on, because this dude is a joke. He is a serious joke. And so I was feeling some type of way about that. I did see that. I didn't get to really watch. I don't get to watch TV much through the week now. But I saw that and I was like, Lord, is this man really, are you really going to keep him here for 4 years? Are you really going to keep him in this position? Because every day it just becomes more and more of a joke.
Okay, so family, this is my prediction. That, I don't know who that is.
No, is that you?
It's not me. I'm right here. It's someone's phone.
But anyway, so I mean.
My prediction, family, is that number 45, I do not believe will last 4 years. I think either he's going to step down or he will be impeached, because, you know, the latest in the news too, that his chief of staff, he had really harsh words for Mr. Kelly, his chief of staff. And so if you look at his cabinet members, they're turning on him.
Yeah, they are.
They're turning on him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, John Kelly, I mean, basically, John Kelly, who was the White House chief of staff, who was former Marine, Trump basically really belittled him in one of the cabinet meetings. I was reading about this in the news. And this gentleman, who was a former Marine, said, you know, after 35 years in the Marine Corps, he had never had anyone speak to him like this. And he was in the Marines. And so he basically said, you know what, he will not speak to me like that again. So my point is this, that as you watch the Trump administration fall apart.
Oh, they're folding.
They're folding. You know, a house divided can't stand.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It cannot stand. And so I keep telling people, he's not going to be impeached. I say, you know what? Who's going to basically get rid of him is the Republican Party.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's causing more damage. And I keep telling everybody. And several people say, oh, it's not going to happen. I was like, okay, this guy will not
they had
happen.
to clean up behind Bush. Yeah. Baby, they going to have to.
Pence, it would be better if they basically, and then there was a psychiatrist that basically said that this man, is unstable. And so when you have all these things come out, like, okay, I keep telling people, I am predicting within the next year or two, he will be gone. It just makes sense.
I hope so.
It just makes sense.
It makes sense for me. I hope it's exactly. It's not a moment too soon.
I agree.
It needs to happen.
I can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Well, no movies, nothing. I've been a hermit.
Yeah. No movies.
Hopefully, the Port of Galveston opens up. There was the Port of Galveston. The Port of Galveston.
The Port of Galveston.
The Port.
What are you talking about? Movies and
she said she hasn't. She said she hasn't.
I know she hasn't watched the movies. And all of a sudden she said the Port of Galveston. I'm like,
hopefully the Port of Galveston opens up. So I can go on vacation. I'm going on vacation. And so I can't go if the port is still closed. So there were 2 ships that were still out. One was rerouted to New Orleans. Right. The other one was still in Mexico. Right. And so this was from the Carnival cruise from 2 weeks ago, right? So they canceled the cruises that were supposed to go out last week because they still had 2 ships out at sea. Hopefully the ships come back in today, which is when they're predicted to come back in. I found out that the Highway 45 is back open all the way straight through to Galveston from Dallas. So if that be the case, I might just make it on my cruise.
Congratulations.
Otherwise, if not, I'm going to kill somebody.
Okay, so that's what you were saying. Gotcha. That's what I thought, when you said hopefully the Port of Galveston open. Like a movie is opening soon.
It's time to go to the Grand Caymans and Jamaica. You are slow. You're a blue bus rider. Did you see the blue bus?
I still haven't
seen the blue bus.
Teresa saw the blue bus. I told you Teresa
saw the blue bus. But I think she was making it up.
She showed you a picture? No, there's a picture. Teresa does not smoke.
I got her own picture.
Yes, there's a blue bus.
In this debate about, is there such thing as a blue bus?
Because I say everybody's a blue bus rider. Yeah. That's a little.
Yeah,
so, anyway, moving on. So, Welcome to our guest today in the
Yes.
building. Melody, we're going to talk about for better or worse domestic. And normally, we do talk about domestic abuse, and I've done a T or two about domestic abuse. So will you share with us your story today?
Sure. Goodness, where do I start?
From the beginning.
Whatever makes you feel comfortable, and you don't have to, you have no filter here.
So, okay.
Well, let's do this. What made you what were you attracted to? How did you all get together in the first place?
So I just wanted, I met this guy. I was in a really vulnerable point of my life. I just had my daughter. She's 12 now, and her father had just left me. So I met this guy, and he kind of just came in like he would take care of like the world, like everything. So he just made me feel very comfortable, and we only knew each other, maybe a month, and he wanted to get married. He was in church. He was just, I just thought he was just heaven sent. So, of course, I had been through this relationship in which my daughter's father just left me. So I was like, well, maybe this is what I'm supposed to deal with. So despite everything that I believed, he asked me to marry him, and I was like, yeah, okay, sure. So we got married, and that's what happened. That's how I was attracted to him.
And so then how long did it take before who he was showed up?
Probably within 6 months of being married. It got started out, of course, with just a slap. Then maybe
over something silly,
something as
major.
simple as dinner. Like, dinner's not ready. Like you would call me, I'm on my way home. I would be like, okay, what do you want for dinner? So he would just say something like pork chops. And I say this because that's exactly what he said, pork chops. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start cooking the pork chops. But of course, we all know that it's a process. You have to wash the pork chop. You have to get them in the flour, prepare the grease, get it hot. So I just can't cook a pork, you know what I'm saying? So he probably got home within 10 or 15 minutes, and the pork chops were not ready. They weren't even in the grease yet because it wasn't even hot. So it started just like that.
And so it gradually, did it get worse?
Yeah, it got really worse. It got to the point to where there was a lot of sexual assaulting. Like he would, because he felt like, because you're my wife, it's not, I don't consider it rape or whatever, but I considered it rape because it's no. So, I mean, he would, force me to have sex, like, in like, all holes, you know what I'm trying to say? It would just be, like, blood. It was just horrible. Wow. Like, he would mutilate me, I guess is a good way to say it.
Wow.
So, it got that bad.
So how long did you stay?
We were married for, like, 5 years.
So the whole 5 years?
Not the whole 5 years, because I sent him to jail. He went to jail. Finally, he went to jail, but he was only there maybe a few months. Got out, came right back. I mean, he was like, he would not accept we're not together. Like, he, even after we were divorced, he would still come and, he would find out where I lived. He would, he just wouldn't accept the fact that we weren't together.
So let's back up a little bit. So I think for me, it's easier for me to ask the questions as a woman, because I feel like in the beginning, when it was just a slap, you just probably were like, oh, you know what, it's gonna be okay.
I was like, well, I was just kind of like still feeling a sense of he just, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I should have started sooner. Maybe I did pause before I started cooking the pork chops. Maybe I should have, rushed it a little bit.
So you just felt like it was
So I just felt like it was my fault. So
did you feel like he hung the moon? Did you feel like he was the man? He was the one? Did you feel like? Yeah. Did you feel like he was the?
I did.
Oh.
I thought he was, because it was just it wasn't just about me like being attracted to him or me being in love with him. It was like he, my main concern at that time was like how am I gonna tell my daughter that she didn't have a father? So he took on that whole role. Like he not only did he say like, hey, I want to, be a part of her life, but he adopted her. Like the whole process. So I felt like, well, if I leave him, then he's gonna leave her. So I just kind of felt that I had to stay there, not for my sake, but for her sake.
So did you ever feel like if he would hit you, he would hit the baby?
No.
Did he ever hit the baby?
No.
Wow.
So he just really lashed at you, and it truly was not about the kid.
Right.
So, out of curiosity, when
That is interesting.
he first became abusive with you, did he apologize afterwards? Like I always hear the story, I'm sorry, I never do it again. Was it anything along the lines, or it was just, it is what it was, and just kept moving?
Actually, he was just kind of like,
He would never apologize.
he never apologized. It was just like, it is what it is.
So basically, he was setting the tone that he's the authoritarian in that relationship, and whatever he expects from you, you need to meet those expectations. So basically, you became a slave to him.
Pretty much.
You were there for him. Wow. So at what point did you realize it was time to get out?
So I have 3 children. So I had 2 other children, and one time he put my older 2 children in the closet. The baby was still a baby, so she was still a baby. Like I said, she's probably in her crib, so she was still maybe like 1.5, maybe, I don't remember. But he had her in the room. He put the other 2 in the closet, and he kept us hostage in the house for like 3 or 4 days. He wouldn't let us talk on the phone. He wouldn't let the kids go to school. He wouldn't let us do anything.
No, you knew then that he had a mental problem, right?
Yeah, I knew then.
Did you talk to him about it?
I had started kind of, because he had his stepmother, she would always say things like, man, I hope he's really changed. And I was like, what do you mean? She would be like, she really wouldn't say anything, but she kind of gave me hints along the way. So after so long, I would talk to her, and that's the only person I've really talked to, because I wouldn't tell my own parents. So I talked to her, and she would tell me that that's his whole pattern. Like he's done this to every woman he's ever been with. He's always been abusive, and it kind of, I guess his mother and him. His mother she passed away, but they didn't have a good relationship. His mother had 4 daughters and him, and she was very mean to him. She would like make him stay outside in the summer. She would abuse him, but not the other girls. So we kind of came up with the thing, well, he must be mad at his mom, so like he's holding all this in because of his brother. So yeah, I did talk to him. I'm like, you probably need to get some help. You have an issue with women. Like, it's not just me, I realize, because you've done this with so many other women, and you need help.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I talked to him about it.
So how did he receive that?
Yeah.
He was like, me and my mother made up before she died. I don't have any help. I don't need any help. Me and my mother,
He was in denial too.
we
Is he
worked
still
it.
alive?
He's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like, me and my mother, we worked it out.
So, last that you've heard, is he still denying? I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't keep in contact with him, but the last time since you heard, is he still denying help from what you heard last?
I don't know. I don't
You don't talk to him at all?
I don't talk to him. I don't know.
So let me ask you this. You know, this is not I'm not by any means interrogating, and I don't think that we want to come off that way. This is a joint conversation. You share with us whatever you want to share with us. However, I think that my question is, when you realize that when he held you hostage, when you were able to leave, why didn't you leave?
Well, that was when I started leaving. Like, so my son got, you know, he snuck out the window, got his help or whatever. The police came, he went to jail. He only, you know, I think he bonded out or whatever, but it gave us enough time to be relocated. So we relocated, but he found us again. So it's like he kept, you know, we moved like 4 or 5 times, and each time he would always.
So did you let him back in?
No, not willingly. You know, not like, oh yeah, come back, but he would just come back and be like, you know, I'm not going anywhere. You're not gonna get rid of me.
So he's not even saying I'm sorry when he come back?
No. He was just like, you're my wife, I'm not leaving you. So my thing now is, okay, well, I need to detach the wife thing. We need a divorce. But he would never sign the divorce paper, you know, so I had to go. I eventually got a divorce when I told the courts, like, everything that was going on, but I had to make so many reports of domestic violence before they would just give me a divorce without having him to sign off. So,
were you here in Texas?
So, finally that happened, and even after our divorce, he still came one last time. Oh, he wanted, because we got the divorce, but legally, because he had adopted my daughter, he was legally her father. So he was legally able to get like visitation and all those things. So we had to meet in a public place, of course. So we met at 7-Eleven because he would want his weekends. So I took him to meet her at the 7-Eleven in Mesquite and dropped her off. When it was time to pick her back up, I came, you know, to pick her back up, and he had a gun, and he put it up to my head and said, "You're gonna take me to where you live." He was like, "I just want to know where you live. I'm not gonna stay. I just want to know where my child is gonna be." And I'm like, listen, I start, you know, like, this is a public place, and why didn't I scream? I don't know. I guess I could have, but I just feared that he was gonna shoot me. So I was like, okay, I'll show you where we live. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, he just wants to see where I live. So I'm gonna just drive him by, let him know where we live, and then it'll be over. Well, when we got there, and then it turned into, no, now I want to go in. So I'm like, man, you know, here this goes again. So he came in, he ended up staying the night.
How did you sleep?
Well, I didn't sleep. I mean, I was there, he was there, and he didn't sleep either. Like, he was.
So what were y'all doing?
So, well, before you answer that question, I'm just curious. So, did he really truly want to spend time with your daughter?
Well, he had just had her the whole weekend.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would assume not, because he just, like, I dropped her off on that Friday. This was Sunday when I was picking her back up. So he just had her the whole weekend. So I don't think he wanted to spend time with her. He said he wanted to know where she lived. You know, he was supposed to know where she stayed.
Did you ever talk to your daughter, you know, about, as far as, you know, what was going on? How, you know, may I ask you?
Like after the fact, like now she knows. Like I've talked to her since then.
So is he still legally her dad?
No.
So how did that work?
It was rough. I mean, I had my mom ended up, because I was going to tell her, but I just didn't know when to tell her. So my mother ended up telling her, well, you know, that's not really her father. And so she told her the entire story about who her real father was, that he left, and then your mom, I guess she just told her too much stuff. So anyways, after that, she got really, I started having problems out of her, like as far as behavior, as far as, because she was like 11, 10 or 11 when my mother finally told her. So she started like misbehaving in school. She started just acting out. And I'm thinking that was the reason. And she even said, I don't like ever want it, because she had siblings. Well, she thought she had siblings through my ex-husband because he had, kids. And so she was like, I don't want to talk to him anymore. He's not really my dad. So why would I even keep talking to him? So anyways, her behavior got really bad.
So can we just go back to that night?
Oh, that night, sure.
Yeah.
What did you ask me?
What did you do? What was that like to have to sit there with him? I mean, like, I know you were very scared. You had to be very scared. Were you scared?
Of course. I kept thinking, like, because I had done so many, like, I sent him to jail, before. I had done so many things. This time he has a gun. He never used a weapon. So I felt like, when my kids go to school, or is he going to let my kids go to school? Like, what is he going to do? So I thought that he was going to, like, keep us hostage again. But he ended up letting them. He was like, come on, let's take the kids to school. But when we came back from taking the kids to school was what kind of got me scared. Like, well, why are you in such a hurry to get them out of the house? So, anyways, I thought that he was going to kill me. But we took the kids to school, and we ended up never coming back to the house because I was thinking of a way to get rid of, I got to think of something to get him. Like, I know if we go back to the apartment, he's going to hurt me, and I know that's going to happen. So I was trying to, like, outsmart him as to how I can get rid of him without him, figuring out what I was doing. And luckily, I had, the week before, I had someone had stole my driver's license, so I had to go to the courthouse and do like some affidavits with the detectives because they got some written checks or something in my name. So I had to go down there and take care of that. Well, the detective had called me that morning, and he was like, hey, I just want to tell you that, the signatures came back and everything was fine. We're going to drop all those hot checks. And I was like, okay. And I kept saying, okay, well, I can come down there now. And he was like, well, what do you, he was listening to me like, I don't need you to come down here. I was like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I'll be there in like 30 minutes. And I told him, I was like, hey, I got to go downtown because this is what happened, and the detective just called me. If I don't come, they're going to put warrants out for me. So I got to go down there and take care of this. So when I went down there, I went in the building, and I was like, you can park the car, because we were in my car. So I was like, you can park the car or whatever. Like, I'm just going to run up here. And so I was in there, and I ran in there, and I told the detective, like, everything that happened. I was like, he kept me hostage overnight. He's in the car. He's doing this. He did this. Like, this is what he did to me all night long. And, I told him everything. And so he finally called me on my phone. He was like, what's taking so long? I was like, oh, it's going to be a little bit longer than I thought. Why don't you come upstairs and wait for me? And when he came, they arrested me again. So that's how I outsmarted them. But
now, how crazy is that he even went to the courthouse? He should have known.
He didn't. He thought. I think sometimes they think that they have so much power over you that you're not going to.
He thought you were scared and you were not going to tell.
He didn't. He really thought that I was going down there to do what I told him I was going to do, and but I didn't have any. I was finished with that part. But he ended up staying in jail for about 2 years that time. He stayed in there for only 2 years. Like, I had, testified against him. The district attorney was like, yeah, if you testify, he'll be gone for like 25 years. It was a joke. He kept me for 2 years. That was it. And when he got out 2 years later, I was living my life. I thought he was gone. I thought I was rid of him. Everything, I thought everything was getting, as normal as it could get. And he saw me, it was New Year's Eve, and me and my good friend had went to a New Year's Eve club or party or something. And just so happened, he saw me there, and he followed me to Walmart because I said, I said my goodbyes, or I didn't see him, because if I would have seen him, I would have you know, I would have did something different, but I guess he saw me and I didn't see, I don't know. But anyways, we went to Walmart, or I went to Walmart. I told my friend, I was like, well, you know, bye, talk to you later, and I'll see you tomorrow. But my mom wanted some pinto beans or something, whatever it is you cook for good luck for New Year's.
Black eyed peas.
Yeah, black eyed peas. Yeah. So she wanted some black eyed peas. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop at the Walmart and get it now, because if I wait, I probably won't go. So I went into the Walmart. It was kind of wet outside. When I came back out, it was a car, and like I was walking to my car, and it was a car just driving down the aisle, and he said mail, and I knew his voice, so I was like, turned around, and I was trying to, you know, get to my car to, you know, unlock it, but my clicker, the battery was low in it, and it wasn't, you know, I was just pressing it, but it wasn't going. So as I was sitting there trying to get in the car, he got out, and he hit me in the back of my head with a baseball bat. So that's when he tried to kill me, and he just left me there. And I woke up probably a couple days later, was in a hospital. I was in like a coma for a little while. I ended up having a stroke while I was in there. I had to go to like a rehab and learn how to talk and walk and all that stuff again. So, but that was the last incident that I had with him.
So where is he?
He's still out. I mean, he's free. I think that time he got 5 years or something.
So he went back in for the same thing, and he only got 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And why are you still in Texas?
Like, I don't want to leave. Like, I mean, this is where I live. This is where my family is. I don't want to leave.
So let me ask you a question. You're brave, and God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
So, what happens when you see him again?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. Are you licensed to carry?
Mm-hmm. The detective told me when we went to court the last time, not the detective, the DA or whatever, he was like, I really thought this time we had him, but he chose a jury trial. And I guess his lawyers just knew who to choose. Like, even, and it's really, I always say this, it's really hard when you, like, you're a person who really is going through this and you're living this, and then he ended up going, like, it was, of course, black men on the jury, and it was, the black men on the jury were the ones who let him be free.
What?
Because, yeah, it was a jury trial. So, like, in the courtroom, you just kind of, like, when they were
on the court.
Yeah, they whatever they say is, they didn't charge him. They charged him with a lesser charge, and that's how he only got the 5 years. But the jurors were kind of like in there, it's just, I don't know, I guess they kind of just forgot about me and were only focused about him. But, in this situation, I think they should have been more focused on me and not about him. But it's like they kind of tipped their hat off, like, we got you, we're not going to send you to prison for life, regardless of the crime he did. But
so, out of curiosity, what type of evidence that was brought up before to kind of make it seem like that they were kind of paying more attention to him and not to you?
No, it was just like when we were in the courtroom, that's what they did. When they were reading the sentence, they took their hat off, like, like, we got you. That's exactly what they did in the courtroom.
Well, let me ask you this, because in order for them to do that, they had to have some type of, when the attorneys went to question,
Mm-hmm.
he had to have given them some type of information that made them feel like he was not capable of trying to kill you. So was questions asked like, were you guys still sleeping together? Did she allow you to come over? Were you guys still hanging out? It had to be something for them to feel like they were focused on him and not so much on, because you couldn't be in a coma about to die and have a stroke. And these people say, we're not going to put you away for life.
They didn't even talk to him. He didn't even testify. They they even brought women that from his past in to testify against him. Like his previous relationships, they came in to be witnesses again, like of what he was, to build up what he's done through over the years, and they still didn't.
I have a question. Does this guy come from money or have money or something like that? That's what it sounds like.
His father is a well-known pastor in the Dallas area, so I don't know if that had anything to do with
I mean,
it.
because the only thing I can think of is some type of connections
He
or
has
something.
to have
some type
He
of
had to have a bomb-ass attorney.
Yes.
But let me tell you what he couldn't have had. He couldn't have had no brothers of mine.
Right.
No men that loved me.
Exactly.
Because I don't think that I would have been, I think that there's no way I could be as reserved as you are today. How long ago was this?
When does this come out? This happened like in 2007. So about 10
So
years.
it's 10 years. It's enough
10
time to
years.
heal. I think I'd be okay by now. You know what I
10
mean?
years, yeah.
The
You are
healing.
strong.
Did you get some counseling?
I did. I went to therapy for a while.
That was a lot that happened to you to have to learn how to talk again, to walk, and have to live your life this way. Are you scared?
Of him, no, not anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Where's your strength coming from?
It's just I don't know where it's coming from, but I can't let him control. Like, if I'm scared of him, then he still has control over me. So I can't live every day being afraid of him or what he's gonna do to me. Honestly, I don't think he'll have the opportunity to do much if we ever ran across each other again.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Stay packing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the court told me. Like, just get a license.
Crazy.
I don't like
It's
it.
crazy
Yeah.
that the court will tell you to prepare yourself.
Well, yeah,
instead
I
of
mean,
do their job.
Well, it was
It's like-
after the trial was over, and the district attorney, those were his exact words.
Let me tell you something. I don't know how I could receive. I don't know how I could still live in the same state because I think I would have to leave the state. But I commend you for living your life, and going on with your life. When it came time to when you got him out and he was out for good, what happened? What was the scenario that time that when he was gone for good, and he just happened to run up on you that time, right? He ran up on you in a Walmart parking lot. But the last time that when he left the house, was that when he went to jail for 2 years?
When we went to the courthouse and I told the yes, that's when he went.
And so then he was gone from there.
Right.
He never came. That's what I was trying to get that part. Okay. Wow. So what would you say to anybody that's going through let me say this. It takes a strong person to tell this story, number one. I commend you on every end.
Yes.
It's a very sad story. And I'm sorry that as a black woman, you had to go through that, because we have to learn how to cherish and love each other. We were talking about love.
Yeah.
You just got to cherish and love each other. I couldn't even be your friend and not want to choke that nigga out. I'm sorry if I could say, I could not be your friend and not want to hurt him. It hurts me that he hurt you.
Yes.
And so I feel very bad. What would you say to a woman that is experiencing, I think this is the second time we've heard domestic abuse.
Yes.
And it's a lot of hurt that's tied up in that. What would you say?
I kept it all to myself. I didn't tell my mom, my dad. I have a brother. I didn't want my brother, because he would have went to prison for life for killing him. So I didn't want my brother to be put in that situation. So I kept it to myself. My father, like, they would have all did the same thing. So there was no way that I would have wanted them to lose their life to prison for that. So I kept it to myself. But I would not recommend that, because it's not. It doesn't help. You have to tell. You have to talk about it. You have to tell somebody, even if it's not your family. You have to, don't believe if they were to say, if it starts out just yelling, cussing, whatever, still that it always escalates. So believe that those things are gonna just stop, and don't believe that they're not going to continue, get worse. Don't believe, like once he does it, it's going to continue, and it's going to keep escalating and keep escalating and keep escalating.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend them not keeping it in.
So let me ask you this: moving forward, how do you go about making sure that you don't find yourself in a situation again? I'm quite sure your selections.
10 years later.
Oh wow. I actually I read people very well now. I pick up on tempers. I pick up on things that I feel like normal people wouldn't get mad about or upset about, and I just take everything for what I see it as. If I see a sign early on that you might have a bad temper, then I just take that and I base, I can't, it's hard because you don't want to hold somebody accountable for something that somebody else did, but you just have to, I don't want to ignore anything anymore. So I try to make sure I pay attention to men very well.
Are you afraid to date?
I was afraid to date, but no, I'm not now.
You're not
today.
She looks for remember when I always talk about don't look for issues. We all got issues. She looks for flags.
Yeah.
Flags are things that are just okay. This is a no-no.
Yeah.
So she's learning to look for flags.
So I think we've had this conversation. I've had this conversation with many people out of curiosity. Just from what you've been through, do you believe that there is love at first sight?
I want to say yes, but I wouldn't take it, but somebody else might, but I wouldn't fall in love with somebody the first sight of seeing them. I have to get to know you. There's so many things that I have to do with you before I can even like you. So, but some
Is
people,
that now? Because
Yes.
clearly, right.
Read them out.
That's
Right.
now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it is, but I just don't have it.
Are you tainted? Are you jaded?
Probably a little bit.
Yes, it's good to be honest about that.
Yeah,
Are you honest about that when you date?
Depends on how serious we're dating. I mean, if it's something that I think is, I just will tell everybody I meet, hey, this is what happened to me.
Oh yeah, I know.
But if it's somebody that I think I might have a future with, then I'll tell them the story.
Are you interested in being married?
I am.
Okay.
I do want to be married one day.
There's light at the end of that tunnel, I think.
I do.
Well, sister, we have to say
That's
that
deep.
you are a strong woman, and it as black men, JK and I, we've talked about this. It really does hurt us too, because it reflects, because the nature of the man is to protect the woman, not to hurt her, not to harm her. And so it really hurts us that you've been hurt by another black man. And then it hurts us even more to hear the story that, while in the courtroom, that other men would nod and give this man a pass, because we're supposed to, as other men, we hear this, hold them accountable, because this thing's not supposed to happen.
Sure thing.
It's not.
I can see that. I try to be devil's advocate when it comes to stuff like this. And had there been a situation that, for example, had he said, I came home and caught her in a bed with another man. Right? Because at that point, you have those moments where you just can't pull yourself back and you just snapped.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you were not doing that,
Well, see, we were divorced we got divorced during that 2-year period. So we weren't even married anymore. We were divorced.
yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. For a jury of men to not feel like it was their job to protect you. To protect you. I have a problem with that. And this is the reason why, and honestly, in all honesty, I always have a problem with trial juries. I have a problem with that, because I don't want you, I don't know you, and you don't know me, so how can I trust you with my fate? Right? And so I'd rather all of the evidence be presented and then let the judge decide. But I would not want a jury of my peers in a situation, rape, murder, attempted murder, none of that. I would never want a jury of my peers, because you don't know my life. You don't know what I went through. Right. You don't know how many nights I was scared. You don't know how I felt when I was, being held up. Let me say this, and I don't know if I even shared this. My daughter's father suffered from PTSD, and he 2x4'd the windows, and he padlocked the doors. He did. And he was so paranoid that I was cheating on him, as if I didn't have the choice to marry him. I chose to marry him. You know what I mean? He made it appear that in his mind I was having a whole relationship with somebody. And his way of keeping me was 2x4'ing the windows and locking us in. And the first time I got out, and I promise you, it was like clockwork. I was scared that Michael wasn't going to make it, my daughter, because he had this affinity for her that had me so afraid that maybe he would even do something to her, because he was so possessive. And he and I are the best of friends now. We never had this conversation, but the day that I got out of that house and I got my baby out, that was the last time that joker ever laid eyes on me in that environment again. I didn't go back. I did not, and just like you, I think I talked to his mother, and his mother had mentioned something about she was glad I was taking him off her hands. And so that was a sign. That was a definite flag, but I was 19 years old. Yeah. So you don't know what to look for at 19. You know what I mean? And when I got out, I never went back. And then I realized later on that he suffered from PTSD, and it was by sheer, I was one of those mothers, I was afraid to ever leave my child with him because of how he did me. Yeah. And he told me that he would see, if before I left him, he'd rather see my brain splattered out on the floor. When a person tells you something like that, you believe them. Yeah. I was out. I was out.
They said that I had PTSD. Like, that was a result of that whole, because I used to, I would always hear somebody at the door. I would always peek out the blinds, because I always thought that he was, coming, and that's why I had to go into therapy or whatever, because they said, well, that's what the therapist diagnosed me with, PTSD, and I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, and even sometimes, like, when I knew he was not there, like he was in jail, I still felt like he was knocking at the door, or if anybody knocked at the door, it was him. Like, oh, he escaped. Something is it was a rough time for a while. But yeah, that right there is definitely a form of abuse.
Absolutely.
What you went through.
And you don't think about, as a woman, I'm always like, oh, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you leave? I left. Why didn't you leave? Everybody is not built the same. Everybody's tolerance level is not the same. And I learned that, and I became less judgmental because of what happened to me. You cannot expect that just because you're one of few. Well, here's what I will do. And this is the one thing that I tell everybody, and I've even said it to Craig, the guy that I'm married to now. Show me a sign of crazy, and my ass is out. I don't give a damn how much money I've spent. I don't give a damn how much time I've invested. You show me crazy today, and I'm out. Yeah. I don't ever want to feel like I felt that day that I couldn't get out my house. Right. When the windows and he came home looking underneath the bed. I'm like, it's a water bed, Negro. Can't nobody get under there. What are you doing? What are you looking for? What is the matter? What did I do? First of all, I didn't do anything, so I didn't even get wrapped up in, wondering if it was me if I did something wrong, because I just had your baby. Right. I'm on maternity leave. I can't even leave the house. I can't drive. You know what I mean? And so I don't ever want to feel that way again. And let me tell you how, for me, I blocked out so much of my life trying to not think about that for so many years, that there are times that I don't remember things today unless something triggers that. And so the one thing that you did that I didn't do was I didn't go get counseling. I didn't. I just kind of rode the wave. Right. And just, it could be why I'm crazy today, but I'm just saying it could be why my tolerance level is not there. It could be why I don't give second and third chances. You know what I mean? That could be a lot of the reasons why. And a lot of times this is why I say listen to your friends, because you never know what they're going through.
Yeah.
You never know what their experiences are. And sometimes people like you, like me, don't tell nobody.
Yeah.
Like I didn't tell anybody either. I didn't tell anybody. And my mom made me feel, which is probably why I feel like I feel about my mother. She made me feel like I should be glad to have a man.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, because you don't know what goes on over here. You don't know how he treats me. You know, and so I'll tell anybody, if somebody is not out, I could not stand by and watch my daughter be in an abusive relationship, my best friend be in an abusive relationship. I couldn't stand by. I think I'd be the one in jail trying to take care of them. So I commend you for being strong and having that strength, and God bless you and continue blessings over your life. And I believe that if you know, I don't know what your spirituality is or how your spirituality is today, but you got to know that you are here by grace.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah, you are here by
I
grace.
feel like that's why I say, like, I don't mind, you know, talking about it. I don't mind, you know, sharing it, because I feel like, you know, God brought, you know, He brought me through it to share it for a reason. You know, it's not just, you know, maybe someone else can use what I say, or maybe someone, you know, they can, you know, not be afraid because of what I'm saying, you know, get them some help. But that's definitely what they should do.
Yeah, help is important. It is so important that we self-check ourselves. And sometimes when we can't self-check, it's better to go to somebody that can help. Most of our insurances, and I say this, if you're employed, most of our insurance offer mental health evaluations, and they offer, you know, treatment, and it's just like just using your regular insurance. So I say to anybody, if you don't feel like you have anybody in your circle that you can talk to, then utilize this insurance, because you pay it regardless. You know what I'm saying? So if you pay an insurance, it's coming out your check every month, go see someone. Let somebody talk to you and help you manage your thoughts, because they can't take the situation away, but they can help you put these things in perspective and compartmentalize those things that need to be compartmentalized. Not to forget them, but just to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes that you made before, and help you identify what's really going on in your life. So I, again, commend you, and I thank you for sharing. And I don't even think I talked about what happened to me. Did I ever tell you that? You would have been the only person I told. Yeah, and so, I don't even talk about it. It's just like I wipe it out as if it never happened, because we are in a place, and let me tell you what he did that's different than most men. He's not a true abuser. He's really not. And the reason why I say that is because he's gone on. He's married. He's remarried and been married. He's a great guy. I think that it truly was PTSD. He was in the military and has been in the military his whole life. And so I definitely want to say that. I'm not putting him out there on Front Street like he's a bad guy, because he's not. But what he said to me was, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry. And he said, you know, I did not mean to do that to you. That's the only way I could be the friend that I am to him today. I don't even think that he remembers half the stuff that he used to do to me. And I hope and pray, and I'm friends with his wife, and I hope and pray that, you know, if she ever sees those sides of him, that she takes heed. You know, I don't think it goes away unless you get some help. And I don't know his business, and I don't know his life like that, but I know he's an excellent father to my daughter today. So, I mean, you know, the thing that made me able to do it was the apology, because you gotta forgive no matter what, and you gotta forgive yourself. And I think
too, what you said, you gotta forgive, but also that individual needs to get help.
I think even with an apology, if at one time, if he were to give me an apology, I forgive him already. So he doesn't have to, you know, apologize to me to forgive him if I already forgave him. But I don't think I could ever be his friend. Yeah. You know, I don't think I would ever want to be his friend. I mean, there were nights where, you know, I would wake up, and I've always carried a gun because my dad, like, always made me carry a gun. So, like, from the time I was 18, I couldn't have a gun. So there were times when I would ask him, I'm gonna hurt you. You probably should leave. Like I would wake up and I would have a gun to his head. Like I would literally, he would be asleep and I would be standing over him with a gun. And I'm like, if I do, the only thing that stopped me was like, if I shoot him like this, then I'm gonna go to jail. But it never seemed to work out when he came at me. I could never get to, it was never the right time. But it was about twice when I actually had a gun to his head, and I was saying I'm going to, I should kill him, and I was like, if I do that, who's gonna believe my story? I've not told anybody, no one's ever saw a bruise, so how am I gonna sell this to the
that's what I think
courthouse.
Most women feel.
Yeah.
That's why I think they don't tell, because they're like, who's going to believe me?
The victim.
Right. And so that's what I think. I mean, one for me, but I think that's why I think people don't.
I'm going to say this. I think, I really believe that it was God speaking to you. A lot of times people say we speak to ourselves. I believe that really that voice that you were hearing
was the Holy Spirit.
Was the Holy Spirit, was God. I'm a firm believer that, through all this hurt and pain that you went through that was definitely wrong, that God still had his hand on you.
Oh, yeah.
To, guide you through this. And really, because, we hear domestic abuse is a serious issue where, statistically speaking, I mean, it's like you hear these stories, the numbers of how many women are abused and how many women end up dead, or how many women end up killing, and yet you made it out. You made it out. So your story, as JK has always said, everybody's got a story, but your story is one of triumph over some tremendous odds, and so you're to be commended of your strength. But also, too, I would believe that it was God that helped you through that.
Now let me ask you this: through all of that, have your kids been affected through this?
No. Like my son, I have a son, he's 22. I have a 19-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old. My son, I want to say, I don't believe he ever, the only time, was that incident when they were in the closet. And, I talked to him about it, and he's, graduated from college now. He's a really gentle man or young man. I've never seen him yell or have a bad temper, or I've never, saw anything that would make me feel like, well, maybe he was affected by what happened. My daughter, no, she's fine. But the younger one, like I said, the only thing that I think affected her was my mom telling her, hey, that's not really your father, this is what happened. And that's when she just kind of, I saw behavior with her. But no, my son, and my daughter, I don't think they would, hopefully they'll never be in that situation. And if they are ever in that situation, I've talked to them enough to know that I feel confident that they'll talk to me about it, or talk to somebody, or not be placed in that situation. Or even if it just happens, no matter how much somebody says they love you or want to be with you, it's not love if that's what they do. So, I don't think they're affected in that way. But we all went through some counseling. So.
Okay, so all of you.
Yeah, we've all been through some, because when I had to come home, where because I didn't remember a lot of stuff. So when I had to come home, they went through counseling because I had a nervous breakdown, after the fact, and I completely shut down. So, of course, they talked. The therapy was family and individually, so we all talked to somebody about it.
Do you have moments now where you feel like, do you have spurt of the moment, anxiety regarding this from time to time?
Definitely. If I get put in a situation where I feel like you know, I feel like I don't have any control over it, then I feel I get anxious. I go through like anxiety issue. So I think that's something they said I'll always probably have. But I used to take medication for it, but I don't anymore. So hopefully I won't have to anymore.
So you feel like you're in a pretty good space right now?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like I said, I used to take a lot of medications for those issues, but now I don't take any of them. So I think it's you know, it's
that's a
better that
testimony
way.
in itself, because some people get on medication and they have to stay on it forever. Yeah. Well, I want to give out to those people who are listening and those people who don't have anybody that they can talk to or they feel comfortable with, the domestic abuse hotline and the suicide hotline numbers. The domestic abuse number is 800-799-7233, and the suicide hotline is 800-273-8255. You know, I just say everybody needs somebody to talk to, and I know that it's an embarrassing situation for you and you may not want to share it, but don't be quiet. Please tell somebody, let somebody help you, because I'd rather help you on the front end than visiting you in a funeral home. Thank you again for sharing.
Thank you for your story.
Yeah, thank you. And on that note,
And like I always say, that everybody has a story to tell. You know, at the end of the day, we have to stop being so judgmental by just looking at people. We can kind of fortune tell a person just by the way they look. You know, like I always say, we all have a story. We've all been through something traumatic to the point where I don't quite know how we got to a place where we have a right to say who can and can't do certain things, and who do and who don't do certain things. I don't even know we even got here. You know what I'm saying? It seems like that we've lost compassion for one another. Just being able to say, hey, you need some help. Hey, we become so self-consumed because we are in that survival mode where we're still trying to find self, that I think because we haven't received counseling, because we're too grown, too prideful to kind of go get counseling, to the point where we have not helped ourselves. And so we're so quick to try to throw expectations off on other people and expecting them to do more for us than we even do for ourselves. You know, at this point, I think that we have to really stop and kind of take a breather on what's actually going on. Because at the end of the day, we have people like me, and we have people like Bill, like yourself. You know, like the person like myself that has been through something. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, we all have a story. Everybody has a story. And through that story, to me, I believe that's the whole purpose of eargasm. And so someone else can tell their story, so they can be like, hey, I'm in this situation. How did you get out? Because when we tell a story, it leaves the heart, it reaches the heart. Yes. So at the end of the day, we can't expect no one else to tell us how to get out of something they've never experienced.
right.
But I think also I want to add that, and this may be hard, but try when a person tells their story, try to picture yourself in their shoes. And a lot of times it's easier to say, well, I would do this, I would do this. But just try to, for a brief moment, step outside of yourself. And as she was telling her story, I was picturing, man, if that was me, what would I do? And my heart went out. And it's so easy to say, well, I would do this, I would do that. But until you have been there and done it, try not to be so judgmental, but try to put yourself, just close your eyes and just picture, okay, I have not been there, but what if? What if? And it's a sombering, because I'm listening to her and I'm thinking, man, you know, my heart is like, ooh. You know, so when we try to do that, it's called empathy, family. It's called empathy. When we try to do that, it causes us not to be so judgmental. Well, she should have done it, she should have done that. Well, you don't know until
You're in it.
You're in
Right, because you can feel like, you know, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that. But, like, if we remember that they're telling you, the abuser is telling you all these things about what, like, they have what they're gonna do for everything they think you're gonna do. Like, if you call the police on me, I'm not gonna stay forever. This is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do this to you. And you tend to believe them because you know, they've already told you that the next time you look at another man, they're gonna punch you in your eyes, and they did that. So it's like they're showing you everything they tell you that they're gonna do bad, they're gonna do it. So you don't want to, you believe that, well, if I do this, then this is going to happen. So you're so consumed with fear to where you don't do anything. And that's not I mean, it's hard not to be consumed with fear because you know, you just never know what that other person is going to do. They're already unstable somewhere in their mind, and you know, at any moment, that unstableness can go from the physical abuse to murder, or you know, they can, you know, me and my family, my children, you know, all of us. So I try to do everything that I could do to keep all of us safe. And if I had to, you know, take a, you know, like one time he wanted to spank my middle daughter, and I would never let him spank my middle daughter, so I took the spanking. Like, you can hit me, but don't hit my child. Wow. And it's like I would always interfere, you know, if he wanted to, you know, maybe spank one of them, and they probably needed a spanking. I don't know, but you're not going to spank them because I don't know how far you're going to take it. So I'd rather you. So I would intentionally argue to get him, you know, away from my child. Like, don't hit my child. You can, you know, hit me, but don't hit them. And you know, I would always do that, and it was just
God bless you. That's all I can say. It's just that it's a definite God showed you favor, and clearly, you know, I always tell people, and I don't go to church every Sunday. I do not. I don't Bible thump at all. But I believe that our life is not our own, and that we are here for a reason. And so your story will empower somebody, you know, and we will, even in years to come, we'll run this back, you know, just so that somebody out there that missed it can catch it. Yeah. So.
But on that note,
thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Art of Conversation on the Eargasm Radio Network.
I am your co-host, Silver Tongue. I mean, your host. I'm sorry, co-host.
He don't know who he is.
Yeah, we all just.
I'm your host, Silver Tongue.
And I am EXX rated. We got whatever.
And I'm Willie Will, family.
I had to look down.
Yeah. Come on. Say
and we will see you
and
next.
We have Melly Mail.
Yeah.
All right.
And now that you're now that you've been on our show, you are a family member, and you are welcome to come back anytime.
Yes.
Okay. And you all have a great Saturday.
Deuces.
It's Saturday.
Yes.
All right. Let me see what my job.